down and some over there, as well as including some features that I would like in the game. Some of them are my ideas. Some of them I've heard about. Well, I guess one of them I've heard about. The rest are my ideas, I guess. So we'll start with these features. So this is one difference. In Bedrock Edition, certain transparent blocks, namely full ones, allow redstone signals to go up and down, like this. There is one exception case. I don't actually know. It's a bug that's not shown here. There's actually one case here to note. I must show it. If you do this, there's a bug where the piston, in this case, because one thing you may note is that in this case, the redstone actually goes up, actually has the appearance of going up and down on these full blocks, what doesn't on these non-full. The bug with pistons in which they look like the redstone dust only partially goes up, but in fact does fully go up. My best guess being that like those full blocks are waterloggable, pistons are waterloggable, but yet the redstone can still allow. There's a bunch of bugs here that Minecraft Bedrock uses a special circuit system instead of block updates, which is what Java uses, which however does mean that in these cases, in these cases there's bugs where the redstone dust looks different because the redstone dust has been updated differently than the circuit system. So there's a couple bugs related to that. In this case, this is a definite. This is not one of those situations. This is definitely a good feature. Which is the ability to go up and down glass, and it's one that I've always thought that Java. I often think of it that Java. Think that Java has it, but in reality it doesn't. This one is a visual bug with target blocks, where the redstone dust appears to go up and connect, but in fact the circuit system is correctly updated and actually powers the redstone lamp. Redstone dust hasn't been updated. If you're wondering why it would be update problems, because target blocks are always solid blocks. Well, for 3 update cycles, target blocks were non-solid blocks, and it seems like the circuit system was updated correctly, but not redstone dust when they changed it to being solid blocks, like in Java. In the case of pistons appear to block redstone dust, appear to be solid blocks, but in fact they're not, and even its redstone looks like it's powering this block, in fact isn't. This because it's being redirected up here. Circuit system knows this, the redstone dust does not. And there's the one final bug where the redstone dust is correct, and the circuit system is in fact partially wrong. As you can see, all 3 lamps activate, even though this one shouldn't be, as the redstone dust is redirected away. Notably, all of this bugs occurs with both pistons and target blocks. If I replace, the redstone lamp turns off. Somehow, the redirection code for pistons and probably target blocks copied the code from pistons. For some reason causes this breakage. I don't know why, but these previous 3 I definitely label as not great. As you can definitely avoid them. These 2 cases are just visual bugs. This one's kind of partially. It's often avoidable, although it has scuppered previous contraptions I've had. I find it really annoying. This is a avoidable bug. They're just annoying things that I don't have red concrete. I'll replace it later. But yeah, I don't have these. These are annoying bugs that you can overcome pretty easily, but I prefer them to be out of the game for it to make more sense, and they definitely make it make less sense. There's a couple other bugs here to be listed though, and a lot of other features here. This is one feature that's pretty interesting, in that there's certain cases where multiple blocks can occupy the same block space. This is one case where flowing water can occupy the same space as comparators and repeaters. One thing, there was also a bug for a time, however, where those repeaters and comparators would destroy the flowing water. However, that bug has since been fixed. And this property is also used to allow powder snow or snow layers to occupy the same space as flowers. Java Edition is just called snow. Bedrock Edition is called top snow. So over here, this is a disadvantage, although for some reason it isn't marked with concrete. In that note blocks, they will not give observer outputs. I don't know why this is, but that is definitely be a disadvantage, especially for making like flying machines, I guess, because note blocks can be pushed. But I think there's probably alternatives. I'm not sure. Well, over here, this is a feature that I haven't marked this one because I'm not sure whether it's bad or not. They don't sync into the block, whereas I'm pretty sure they do in Java. You don't sync into honey blocks, although you are still slowed by them. One of the most interesting things about honey blocks is that they are, in fact, you do sync into the sides a bit, but yet in Bedrock Edition they're solid blocks, whereas in Java Edition they're not. This is useful for flying machines, although it may be disadvantages certain circumstances, as it means that there's now no solid block. There's no sticky block that's not solid kind of block. But otherwise, this is I really like this feature. So it makes the flying machines easier, especially since quasi connectivity is gone, and you technically often need that makes it slightly more useful. Although I'm mentioning that I prefer quasi connectivity to be not in Minecraft. So over here is this bug that's definitely bad. It took me incredibly long. I only learned about this bug from doing lots of research, where if you notice, those repeaters and comparators activate at the same time as the redstone dust. However, to illustrate this, if I use this repeater, I'm gonna change this. Use this repeater. The redstone lamps activate differently. This bug took me quite a long time to figure out. It's caused by a combination of issues with the Bedrock circuit system. It's incredibly, and I think it's not actually that hard. It's generally easy to work around, but you have to know about it, and it's really hard to learn about it because I only discovered the bug after doing a lot of research. So I have a couple other things over here. For example, this I generally think it's bad, and that pit observers, due to a combination of issues actually have incorrect delays, being 2 ticks instead of 1 tick. Although I've discovered when they react to redstone, they take 3 ticks for some reason. So this is kind of like an illustration here. Both redstone lamps turn on at the same time. In this case, it's kind of a problem with the circuit system. And then over here, we have this. Now, this is a feature in Java Edition where sticky pistons will spit out their blocks when powered with a 1-tick pulse. It doesn't exist in Bedrock Edition because Bedrock pistons wait till they've finished extending before they start retracting. I would definitely like this feature to be in Bedrock Edition, as it's highly useful. And although it would definitely break a lot of the contraptions in my redstone testing world. Technically, I don't actually really require it out of Bedrock redstone, but it's because technically, mostly because kind of partially the fact that it would break a lot of contraptions. It can be annoying in some circumstances. It could be annoying in certain circumstances, but it's definitely a feature that I would like in Bedrock. So this, however, I definitely like, but I know a lot of people may disagree, which is I like the fact that there's no quasi-connectivity in Bedrock Edition. In Java Edition, all the dispenser piston and dropper would all be powered. However, I'm not actually sure whether they'll actually update, because in Java Edition, like from what I heard the reason that we're actually considering it. I technically did this off because I kind of have a slight misconception about how quasi-connectivity works, and the fact this dropper and dispenser would not be powered. It would only be the piston. I should change it. Because one thing is that from what I heard, the reason that quasi-connectivity exists, i.e. that pistons can be powered with its redstone dust, is that pistons, droppers, and dispensers use the same code as doors for power detection. At least that's what I heard based on research. And since doors are too tall, the top half can also detect power. However, pistons, droppers, and dispensers have no top half, but they're still powered by as if they had that top half. So, I generally dislike that. I generally do not want that feature to exist in Bedrock Edition, but I still like it anyway. Interesting. And then over here, I guess this is kind of one that I'm not so sure about. I should remove that label. Because this is basically zero tick things. From what I've heard, there's actually two different ways to create zero tick pulses. With, I think they may have slightly different behavior. Although this is the method I discovered where the observer activates and then the piston retracts it. Both the comparator and repeater do not activate, but the piston on the end does. I'm not sure if this is useful or not, so it doesn't cause any spit out blocks or anything. Heard in Java Edition, you can use crazy things with like zero tick pulses, but Bedrock Edition, since pistons wait until they finish extended before they start retracting, this doesn't really do anything. It's practically identical to a one tick pulse, with the exception being that it doesn't power repeaters, comparators, or redstone torches. Although I haven't put redstone torch in here to demonstrate. This feature, however, is not exactly well known, decently well known, but I find it very useful. It's similar to like the target block in usefulness, is the fact that when a piston is activated, the redstone torch in it will deactivate, as if it's on a solid block that's being powered. One thing to note is that this works even if the piston is merely being activated, not powered. Meaning that this redstone torch, because if I were to replace this with a solid block, I should turn off the lever so it's on, it's not going to do anything. Whereas if it's a piston, it is going to turn off. At the same time, another thing to note is that with this piston here the piston does not need to extend for this door. You can place like a obsidian block here to prevent it from extending. However, it does mean that you have like a situation of redstone contraptions where you can say it's compact like this, but then the piston extends some of the time. It makes it slightly larger. You could put some blocks there to prevent it from extending, but then I'm not sure if it really counts. So that I have a redstone contraption in my testing world which fits that criteria, if I can find it. Right here. This door, from what I remember, has a piston. Yep, that one. And that one as well. That have to extend outward. And that means that, well, in this state, it fits this pretty compact space. When I activate it, they extend out. You could put obsidian blocks there, or like a row of 12 blocks, or some slime blocks or something, hide them somewhere. And that makes it partially fit compact within the space, but not completely. It may be possible for me to fix this without having this pistons there, but I haven't tried yet. So, and then if we go back over, am I getting this place is pretty large. It's definitely not the biggest resin testing world ever, but it's large enough I can forget where things are. There it is. And then, now that we're back here, another feature here. This one's even less well known. I only discovered it in a random post on the Minecraft feedback website while I was doing research. So where you may notice that this comparator will be able to read the output of containers through a piston, which is very strange. And this bug seem to be kind of like related because they both involve a piston behaving as if it's a solid block. While this bug over here pretends it's a not full non-solid block while also being a full non-solid block, sort of. It's kind of odd. So, this is a feature that In fact, it's not actually that useful. I kind of compare it to like the pot, where it's useful in some circumstances. Although I think it's actually more useful than the pot. From what I can tell a just an item filter setup does basically the same thing. So, it's sometimes useful in contraptions. I've used it before, and it becomes beneficial to contraptions like this one. It's an insanely long piston extender, which utilizes the thing to detect where pistons are. I really like this contraption. If you're wondering, barrier blocks are used so you can see the pistons. There's pistons. The repeaters are powering the barrier blocks, which power the pistons. So, and then if we go back over here, a couple more things to look at. Over here. This is probably one of the best known features ish about Bedrock Edition, and probably the least liked. The fact that Minecraft Bedrock Redstone, or at least the fact that pistons have absolutely no update order. For a time in early Pocket Edition, they actually did, from what I could tell, but they removed that feature, likely due to lag purposes, as like a system to resolve those disputes could be laggy. A very simple solution, which wouldn't solve this particular case, but it would fix most of the issues with it, is to make movement finishing occur before movement started, which would fix nearly all the issues with it, while leaving out the one little good feature about it: very easy randomizers. Because in general, if you have two pistons being powered at the same time, why would you expect that it behaves consistently? So, in general, then there's other things. This in general, I'm not so sure about. It's kind of like a disadvantage, I guess. The fact that rails can be waterlogged, but they're destroyed by water. The reason it's not dropping an item is I have tile drops set to false here, so that I don't have to repeatedly pick up random bits of redstone that fall off my contraptions. And I kind of would prefer it to be blocked, but admittedly, it's not that consequential. I'd actually prefer it to be more like repeaters, where it flows through. I think for a time it may have actually been, because I saw it in like a screenshot in like there was like a bug report about this where it was mentioned that this works as intended. It showed the water flowing through rails. It also showed it flowing through cocoa beans, but that's gone, and I definitely understand why. Water is useful for cocoa bean farms. And then for here is another definitely good feature about it, although not that often used, kind of like a pot. You can waterlog pistons. Another thing you may notice is that it makes a stone block sound when the piston breaks the water. I'm not sure why that sound would be useful, but it's odd. It also has like gray particles, which is even odder. And then if we go here, this is probably the most well-known benefits of Bedrock Edition, is movable tile entities. And this is definitely a good feature. Sure, I really like this. Definitely useful. Maybe not always, but definitely occasionally. And this is also not very well-known feature, but very useful, is that the comparator will work correctly despite the fact that the block is being powered. In Java Edition, if this block is powered, the comparator will be on, no matter what the container here is. But in Bedrock Edition, the comparator puts this container over the block. And so if we go over here, we have a couple last bits. This, I'm not sure if it's good or not. It's just piston timings are different in Bedrock Edition, with the piston taking one tick before it even starts extending, and then taking one tick to extend, and then at the same time taking one tick before it starts retracting, taking one tick to retract. Although due to how Bedrock works, a combination of issues, this redstone lamp turns off 2 ticks later in the input signal, even though the which is kind of due to the fact that piston takes some time before it starts retracting, and due to the fact that once it starts retracting, it hasn't updated the lamp yet. So a bit complicated. And then the two final bits is that one thing that kind of relates to one over there is that since it doesn't sync or anything, honey blocks do not move entities. From what I remember, at least from snapshot videos, is that was one of the key features when honey blocks were first introduced, although I don't know if it was kept. And this is something feature that I've heard about in Java Edition, introduced with 1.13, but hasn't made it to Bedrock Edition. The transfer of redstone signal through leaves, like this. This feature is not existent in Bedrock Edition. It would definitely be useful. So it makes them look a lot prettier, although in general kind of harder to use since making T flip-flops is much harder due to the lack of pistons spitting out blocks. So that covers all the differences. Now I can go over some of my feature ideas. One of them, this, is definitely one that you've heard about, and I'm pretty sure there's a mod in Java Edition that allows this. However, since I'm not a Java player, and there doesn't seem to be an easy way to do similar thing in Bedrock Edition, at least I've never heard of a way to do it. There may be a way, or like a mod or something that allows this, or like chain step, where the chain connect to the block and push and pull it along. I would really like this feature. Sure, I think it's nice. And nice, interesting. I definitely like it. Now, one other feature here that I really, really like, is where, for example, if there's, two pistons pushing the same set of slime blocks and stuff, they would be able to push twice the amount of blocks to 24 and stuff. Meaning that you could create these large walls and stuff much easier and stuff, and it kind of has that sort of increasing the piston push limit. Well, vibe type stuff while still making it uniquely challenging because you need to fit all those pistons and the power sources for them in. I really like this. However, I can see why Mojang hasn't added it yet. I managed to figure out a way to do it, but it's extremely hard. As for example, if you have this scenario, it's when you power all three pistons extend, but this piston needs to decide where it dedicates its extra pushes to, because this one cannot help this one or this one. Well, this one cannot help this one or this one, so this one has to be the helper. But this one has a ton of load that needs this one to help. Well, this one has it easy, but if this one helps this one and doesn't help this one can extend and this one can extend. Well, this one can't extend even though this could. It gets complicated, and I managed to figure out a method, but it's pretty hard and kind of laggy, so I don't know if it would work. And then over here are my two other ideas. One is that to make redstone at least make more sense, at least a bit, like a visual thing, redstone, whenever you powered a block, it would create sort of particles. Although I'm not sure if they would be full-on particles, as those are kind of costly. I was thinking it more like some sort of random pixels on the block itself would just turn red, or fade out or something like that. Although I'm not sure if that would be easier or harder to work out than default particles. Because the particle command isn't working, I couldn't use the particle command for this. The particle command wouldn't work, so I had to just use redstone dust to try to visualize it. And then the last thing I'm mentioning here is a feature that kind of goes along with this, but the difference being that, as well as going along with other contraptions, it's very simply to make redstone contraptions less laggy, more of a technical feature. Kind of like a box. I had to build this large thing, but it would be more like a cube like this. Where you place it on a redstone component. And what it would do is it would dramatically reduce the power by, for example, removing using tinted glass would mean that it wouldn't emit light, or it would reduce block spacer stuff, basically to reduce the lag of these things, for example, completely removing particles. Potentially, I was also thinking it may have wool as a product of it, meaning it would remove sound, which would also mean that, like, for example, placing with a piston. I'm not sure how it would work with a piston inside, but that would mean it would also be a way to reduce, to eliminate noise, because I've heard multiple ideas to try to eliminate noise with contraptions, and this would be a potential added benefit of this. This also go along with another feature I just realized I had forgot about, which is that when redstone dust is powered, I was thinking it should be more like like a shimmery effect. That would also work for example, if you have like a very long redstone line. It's often hard to tell which part is powered and which isn't. In this case, this part isn't powered. This is like a shimmery effect where it looks like the dust is moving. Would both be cool. I think it would make it much easier to understand. So in general, I generally prefer that redstone be easier to understand, and that's kind of the part of my preferences here on these ideas. So I guess that covers it. So bye. See you in the next video.